Hey everyone, welcome to Wasted Shack, that little extra Wasted Opinions episode that we kind of do. It's not really the whole team, just a little bit, a little touch of us.
We don't need that other guy.
Yeah, not for this anyways. We're here, we're talking about Godzilla. Talking about the big man. At least the first like 15 movies, the Shōwa era of films.
Classic.
So yeah, I got this a little while ago. And Muskeg's not really on board with it. You know, he's got some interest, but he's not as like big on the hog as we are. Anyways, we figured we'd get this out kind of around the release of Godzilla -1, just to kind of be a little bit topical there. But yeah, I bought this, shared it with CountryBoy here, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am CountryBoy, and I've always been interested in Godzilla. I've only ever seen like the Americanized Godzilla, but like clips and stuff, like old school stuff. Like you kind of laugh at it because it's so ridiculous and it's funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was always familiar with it, but I'd never actually seen like a full Godzilla movie from back in the day. So I was interested. So when he said he was buying this thing, I was like, yeah, I'll watch some of these movies. And I wound up watching them all. Yeah, I wasn't planning to, but hey, some of them were actually quite good. Other ones were not so good at all.
I think we're gonna go through them like one by one, and we'll just quickly go over them and stuff. But if I didn't say, I don't know if I introduced myself as LewisLightning. I know I introduced the show.
Don't recall.
I'm LewisLightning. Just quickly before we really get into it, is that your first experience with Godzilla, the American one, or?
1990, was it 98? The one that came out with Matthew Broderick. That was my first Godzilla, and I liked it then. I don't like it now because I know what Godzilla's should be.
It's definitely more comedy.
Yeah, and I do like the new Americanized, like the legend. Legendary ones. Those are fun. Those are fun movies.
Definitely better take on it, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, like when I was young, my aunt was seeing this guy in town. And like when I was in town, my grandparents lived there. And if I got bored, I'd go over to their house, and they had a son. Like I said, I'm about 8 years old, and he had a son who was like 14, so a bit older than me. But they had like all this Godzilla stuff, like you know your game War of the Monsters.
Oh yeah.
There was like a SNES game. Something similar, like a similar concept where you're just a bunch of monsters and you're fighting in the city like that. Yeah. And it was amazing. So I don't think I watched these Shōwa era ones. I think I watched like more of the later ones, like the Heisei with like
Godzilla 2000.
Destroya.
Oh, okay.
I did watch it in 2000. So I think I kind of bridged that gap between the two of them.
Okay. But
that was like my earliest kind of experience with Godzilla there. And then obviously when the new stuff came out, I seen 98. I saw the legendary stuff with you, and I know like if you watched our lists and stuff at the end of the year, beginning of the year. We always got like at least one of us has the Godzilla.
Yeah, I think the last couple of Godzilla movies have both been on our lists. They're fun movies. I mean, I also was a fan of Power Rangers growing up too, so that obviously was definitely something that was inspired by Godzilla easily. And so yeah, just loving that as a kid, and then knowing that Godzilla exists and having anything giant monsters is just fun as hell. How can you not love that?
So I guess we'll start running through. The first one obviously is Godzilla, like the 1954. I always get confused with like King Kong's like 1933.
Yeah.
Just because they're two classic monsters, like big kaijus.
Yeah, black and white too.
It's a little bit of artwork. The book has like for each one. But yeah, like so little forward here. When we were going through it, like I probably got about 5 movies in, and I started borrowing them to CountryBoy.
Yeah.
And he was a smart one here, taking notes about each one, what he thought, and like little things he noticed throughout the movie.
Yeah.
He told me that, and I was like, that's a good idea. But I've already started this, and I'm going to just be stubborn and just go plow through it. So he's going to have the more...
Yeah, I got some fine points and stuff that I write down. So you'll see me looking at my phone quite a bit because I gotta reference the phone because my memory is not quite there.
Yeah.
So I mean... For some bullet points that I put for this movie, I remember like the professor that was in the movie. I think it was the one-eyed dude. He was probably the best, the standout actor of that whole movie.
And they have him like in the very beginning, like I think there's like a ship going out, and he shows up at like the launch, and like the main character mostly that we get, he's like waving off to everyone there, and I think his girlfriend's there. But you see this guy there with the fucking eye patch, and he's like not really interacting like everyone else. He's just kind of sitting there stone-faced and watches the ship go. And it's not until like, I don't know, 3/4 or through the film that he kind of comes back into the story, and they introduce him as like this scientist. You're like, oh, that's who that guy was.
Yeah, and I'll say, I thought it was a pretty inventive way for them to like try and get rid of Godzilla as well too. The oxygen destroyer, like that's a really inventive idea for killing something like something that's basically impenetrable and it breathes atomic breath. How do you stop that? Like destroy the oxygen in the air that's around him or in the water that's around him, I guess.
Yeah.
Try that, and hey, it worked. It dematerialized them or whatever it did.
Yeah, but like I think it's spoiler for the rest of the movies. It's easily like the strongest film. Like if you just want something for the artwork and the messaging is very strong. Anti-nuclear war and stuff like that. With Godzilla being he's like a symbol of what nuclear war is, right? And then even with the oxygen destroyer, like, yeah, but if I use it, then other countries are going to want to fucking weaponize it, right? And it's just like becomes a weapon. So it's got a lot of messages to that one.
Yeah. So another thing I'll say is I know that the miniatures. I hadn't really seen many movies that use miniatures quite like a Godzilla movie has until I'd seen this one pretty much. And a lot of the miniatures were actually surprisingly well done for a movie this old. I was surprised at how realistic some of the vehicles looked and some of the scenery. And then sometimes you see them like crash and you see like a spark come on. You're like, oh, okay, that looks pretty fake. Or like a train crash would just like stop dead or something. Like, okay, that looks nothing like what a train crash would look like.
Yeah.
But for the most part, it did pretty good for 1957.
Yeah, I think like
54 was it?
54.
54, yeah.
I think like some of the other things that are just like Godzilla himself, because in the first few films they often use like a puppet head, and it looks like a puppet head.
Yeah.
Like a rubbery plastic head. It's just like
yeah. Or like you'll see like his head kind of peer up, like almost like it was like a green screen or something in the background. Yeah. And you see it like pop up and it just like open up. And it does look a little comical, but it's for its time. I think it's really well done.
Yeah, it's hard for us to speak to that because it's like when we're like back then when you're in the theaters, you see something like that, like that's new effects and stuff, and like for a lot of these people, right?
I'll say, and this movie it had it was a pretty cut and dry story. It was pretty basic. It was one scene to the next. It was nice. It flowed really quickly. It wasn't like didn't linger too much on like the human element and stuff like that before it got to Godzilla stuff. It was nice that it did that. I'll say what else? It said Godzilla was estimated to be 165 feet tall. If you didn't know that,
okay.
I wrote that down because I thought it would be important.
I wonder if you follow that up with any other measurements they do later on.
I didn't. I don't even know if they said any other measurements in it later on. And there was one scene that surprised me because it was surprisingly dark when Godzilla was raiding the city. And there was a mom holding her 2 kids.
And they're cowering in fear.
Yeah, and it focused on them. And then you're like, okay, something's going to happen. Something's going to save them, right? No, I don't think anything happened.
It doesn't definitively show.
No, but
they're like cowering, and there's like a building behind them, and then you see like Godzilla destroys a building, which you have to assume is the one they're by.
Yeah, I thought it was, for the rest of the movie, the rest of the tone of the movie was a little more light. That was dark for the rest of the movie.
And I think in that one, isn't that like, that's also where they also have the guys, like the news reporters on top of a building, and they're like doing the report, and like, they get taken out doing it, like they're stupidly getting way too close. I mean, they weren't getting close, but a lot of Godzilla get close, which is something that they keep doing, like in future movies. Like even, I think it was in Godzilla -1 that they do that too, where they're on top of a building doing the reporting, and Godzilla comes close and collapses it. But
I wrote down Serizawa was the one that created the oxygen destroyer.
Yeah.
So that was the name of the guy, I guess.
Yeah.
And he sacrificed himself to kill Godzilla at the end, I guess. Okay. That's what I had for notes for this movie.
He was a great character. I liked him too.
He was my favorite. Yeah, he stood out for sure.
So then, Godzilla Raids Again is the second one. Mm-hmm. Actually, technically, there was like an American dub of the original one, Godzilla King of the Monsters, where they added a few more scenes in with American characters like white guys, and I think it's in English, but I didn't watch it. I didn't get around to it. I thought I would. I spent last night watching the supplemental footage on the last disc, so I wish I would have gone to watch the American version and see how much was different.
Yeah.
But anyways, the next proper film is Godzilla Raids Again, and from what I understand in that film, like after Godzilla was such a success, they're like, we gotta have another one. They have to pump out another one really quick to capitalize on the success. So it was just kind of thrown together, and it feels like that to me.
Yeah, it was. It definitely wasn't as well orchestrated as the first movie was.
Like, it introduces Anguirus. That's
Yeah.
like the one thing. He was another dinosaur.
It's like it's on all fours, has like spiky back.
I think
dinosaur.
I think they specifically say he's like an offshoot of Ankylosaurus, like a relative of that.
I think they do say that it's an ancient dinosaur of some sort. Pretty sure that's what they say.
But they also introduce the fact that Godzilla is attracted to light. That was something that they bring up. And there's a plot that seems like they only threw it in there to highlight that with these criminals that steal his money or whatever. And like they're in the story for the first at least half, maybe a little bit less. But these criminals steal this money and they're like bank robbers being chased, and they run to this fucking factory.
Yeah.
And they cause an accident there. I can't remember. I think their vehicle crashed inside.
Yeah, I think so.
But the factory blows up just as the army's trying to lure Godzilla away with flares.
And I think that it was sped up too. Like the people running was like comically fast.
And then Godzilla sees this factory blowing up. He turns around and comes back to shore and fucks.
I did note that too. That for some reason he's all of a sudden attracted to light, which wasn't a thing in the first movie.
Wasn't a thing in the first one.
Yeah.
And doesn't really come up again.
Yeah.
But then so Anguirus and Godzilla fight, and that's sped up. I remember that sped up too, where it's just like fast, like it's just like, this looks bad. Why'd you do it this way?
They never even explain how Godzilla's back. Like, is this a sequel to the original, or is this like them restarting Godzilla again? They never, because it's almost like they were surprised to even see Godzilla. It's almost like it was the first time he was coming again. Like, it was almost like he never existed in the first place. So I'm not even 100% sure if this was a sequel or if it's like a reboot of the series or what it was.
And he kills Anguirus in this one.
Yeah, he kills him in this one.
It'd be kind of cool if the third one had anything to do with that. Like, oh, there's this giant corpse like sitting on the shore of Kyoto or wherever the hell this took place. But now it doesn't get followed up on either.
Yeah, and then somehow he comes back later on.
And they're friends.
Yeah, and they're buddies.
Thanks for you're killing me.
I wrote down for some reason at one point Godzilla looks like a doofus hillbilly with buck teeth and cross-eyed. I don't know, maybe his model was different for this movie or something. I just thought he looked goofier.
I mean, I know they changed it throughout, but I don't know when. But yeah, there's a lot of awkward shots of Godzilla, and that's something we'll talk about. I know later when the color comes in, there's things I see, and it's like, oh, that doesn't look very good. But speaking of color, I think that's the next movie.
The next one is,
the first one that you get to see in color.
Yeah.
And I'll let you introduce that one.
Well, I mean, it brings this guy into the foray. Yeah.
King Kong.
King Kong versus Godzilla, which is probably one of the goofiest ones. If it isn't, it is. It's close to it, and it's. Was it? I think this one was in English. Like, it was dubbed. I think I can't remember now. If it was dubbed or if it was. I have to read it. Maybe I might have wrote that down. I'm not sure. I did say English dub. Yes, no subtitles. At least the version that I watched, and it felt like it was also a bit spliced together. Like, there was some scenes I think that was made in America, and there were some scenes I swear that were made in Japan. They just kind of threw them together. Well, because there was one like scientist, or I don't know if he was a scientist. He was like a narrator or something. He was talking a bunch and talking about like the island.
He's always like in the UN area?
Yeah, and he spoke obviously English. It wasn't dubbed. It was straight up English, and he was a white guy. So I'm wondering if they did that just for like the American version or something like that. I don't know. I'm not sure. That's what it seemed like. And then or something about red berries and strong wire. We're going to play a big part in stopping the monsters. Oh, something about the red berries. Okay, I think the berries knocked them out.
Yeah, I think the islanders were Kong's located, that they had a bunch of berries, I think, that he eats, and then he falls asleep as they're chanting the song, which I like the song. It's probably like the third best song in the whole series. But
and I put like the English-speaking actors, I thought were probably like the worst actors, like the ones that actually spoke English. They said they were like extras in an old Star Trek episode or something. That's what I put down, and it was comical. I liked how comical it was. It didn't take itself seriously. It knew that it wasn't a serious movie. Like, at one point, some people, like these guys, they go to the island where Kong is because they want to try and get Kong to help, I guess, fight Godzilla, because I guess Godzilla's the bad guy again, or something. I can't remember now. But they go there, and to like get the help of the locals, they start handing out cigarettes.
Yeah.
And he gives a pack to a kid, and it was just the funniest thing ever. And the kid, like, I don't remember. I don't think he started puffing on it, but it was just like a normal thing. Maybe it's just what happened in the 60s. I don't know. If people just gave kids cigarettes, but it was hilarious. Oh, plus also there was King Kong fighting a giant octopus. I did not love that. It was kind of cool because it was like actual octopus spliced, and then when he was fighting, it was like a pretend octopus, obviously. Like, not a guy's suit, I don't think, but it was like a puppetry octopus, and it wasn't terrible.
It's not terrible.
Although I'll say King Kong looks pretty terrible in this movie.
But okay, the supplementals, they talk about that certain shot because the guy that had to make the music, he was like watching, like he had to communicate with the special effects, like how am I gonna score this part of the movie or whatever, right? And he showed him the part with that. He's like, wow, that looks really good. That octopus looks so real. He's like, don't tell anyone. It is a real octopus. And apparently they just had like a metal wire, and every time they wanted to do something, they just poke it in the back and go on. But,
just poking an octopus to piss it off.
Yeah. The other thing I was going to say, like, it was very comical. When they first meet, Godzilla just totally punishes King Kong. Like, he beats him, and Kong gets a little bit of offense that's mostly ineffectual in, but Godzilla beats him and literally buries him. Like, puts him under rocks and everything. Mm-hmm. But it's established, well, I guess you could say it's established, he was struck by lightning on the island and it didn't seem to affect him. Mm-hmm. So then, at the end of the movie, like, the fight, after he's already been buried, they, like, run a wire to a helicopter, I think? Or to the power line.
Oh, yeah, when he's like dangling below the freaking helicopter.
And they electrocute him when he just jumps back to life. And
apparently, lightning gives King Kong strength.
Yeah.
Because he got his ass beat by Godzilla, and he was basically lying there, and then like a storm comes and like resurges him somehow. Like, okay, that's new. That's never been done before, ever since either, I don't think.
And like you were saying about him kind of looking bad or whatever, he's more like orangutan-like. He's got like an orangey brown fur.
Yeah, it is. It is more of a brownish orange, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that was all fucking.
Let's see if I had anything else to stick out. The cables and balloons to lift the Kong. Their fights had a lot of rock throwing and kicking, which is weird. And then the tree to the face was hilarious.
Oh, he shoves it in his mouth.
Yeah. And then they fall into the ocean and Kong swims home, and that's it. Neither of them died.
Yeah, kind of inconclusive who the real winner is. After that, Mothra versus Godzilla. Now, I remember Mothra. There's a couple of movies with him. Mm-hmm. And I am not 100% clear on this.
Her.
Yes, her. I'm not clear on exactly what happens in each one because Mothra is basically doing a lot of the same stuff, where it just flaps around and.
Yeah. I know this one. I think introduced the two twin ladies, the little tiny ladies.
They are in. I think they're in both of them, but they're definitely more prominent in the first one.
That was when they were introduced. This is the first time we've ever seen these little weird things.
Yeah.
These little ladies.
In a little box, they stay in most of the movie.
And they sing to like wake up Mothra and make her do things. Yeah. Oh man, it was strange.
It's weird. Like it's like fuck. I can't remember the name of that movie, but like little people like living in the house and. There's parts that they hide from the bad guys and they'll hide behind like chairs and stuff.
Yeah.
So weird. It always bothered me with Mothra that it seemed like the model wasn't working properly or like falling apart or something because it was always like used so sparingly and all it does is like flap its wings and fly around and then when the close-up comes it's just like cut so you see Godzilla's head and maybe a little bit of his upper body.
Yeah.
And then just like flapping wings smacking him in the face. It's just...
That's literally what I wrote down too. I said Mothra and Godzilla fight is just a lot of flailing around basically is all it was.
Yeah.
It's like who's winning this fight? I don't even know because it's just them moving their arms, especially Mothra.
I think it would look a lot better like if I think it would be a lot better if they made Mothra do kind of more like the mystical stuff, which she kind of gets more in the later movies, like the legendary ones for sure. They've been showing that off.
I put something about the tanks and airplanes. I said in this movie probably looked the most real than they did in any of the other ones until they like fire projectiles and you like see like this trail of sparks and stuff.
Like I have a very hard time singling out any one movie because like all of them I think like, they'll have good moments and bad moments, and it's really hard for me to say like, oh yeah, I remember this one was bad. Cause like, they're all bad at certain points of the models. Like with the planes especially, they always seem to be like moving in sync. Like they're too stable.
Yeah.
And they're like you'll have like 4 or 5 of them, just all of them turn exactly the same way. It's
true. Yeah, you can't really get away from that. But.
And is this the one where they bury him in ice?
The ice one was with Anguirus. That was the avalanche.
Okay.
When that was still black and white.
Black and white. Okay.
Yeah. Unless they did it again in another one, but I don't think so. And then this one also had Mothra's babies as well too, and they were ugly.
I thought it was the second one that had babies.
No, this one had them.
I like the babies because it also gives Godzilla's first loss.
He did, but it was so pathetic how he lost. He just shot webs at them from so much distance.
And then they sat behind this rock and just like dodging them.
And then they do like go hide, shooting fucking webs at him.
Yeah.
It was like, come on, Godzilla, you can beat these little baby fucking ugly Mothra things.
That's all they have is the webs. They don't do anything else.
I know.
And he falls into the ocean when he's wrapped up.
And then like Mothra dies, like the mom dies. And then I guess that leads to the next.
That leads to the next one, Ghidorah, the three-headed monster, which also features Mothra in it.
It does.
So I think there's an egg in the beginning.
Yeah, one of the baby Mothras is what it is.
Yeah, and it's I always like that egg. Like sometimes it looks so good because it's like this giant matte painting, obviously.
Or was the egg in the last one? Because why would there be an egg in this one?
Well, I
if
think
the baby Mothras were already there.
Or maybe it's a cocoon. I don't remember.
We didn't write everything down.
Write everything down. But yeah,
we'll see. Keep talking. I might have it written down here.
But yeah, like there's like a giant matte painting, obviously at points. But then like there's all the kind of I guess filmed like some miniatures against it. So there's like a big like I don't know what to call it, like framework tent they have in front of it at points too, which you just know it's going to get destroyed because you can tell it's a miniature. Mm-hmm. But I really like the egg, and there's parts where it's like on the beach. I think it's a beach or like a sandy area, and like fucking people are walking up to it, which still looks pretty good. They never really have anything too close up of it. But
there was something about the giant egg in the last one, Mothra versus Godzilla. I wrote down. I don't know if that was the same egg versus the second egg. I can't remember. But yeah, King Ghidorah, the three-headed monster. So this one, I think, was the first one that introduced alien people. Because there was this like princess, there's like Princess Venus or something like that, or whatever she was.
Very complicated story.
It was odd, yeah. But it was actually like, it was like a lady from Venus like embodying a woman's body that was on Earth or something like that.
She was like a dignitary, like a princess from a nation that was on a plane. Something happened with like the aliens abducted her while she's on the plane. Yeah. She went through a portal or some shit like that and mind swapped. I don't know.
And then the plane explodes like right after that.
Yeah. And she's like comes back and she's working for the aliens.
And if you thought we were done with the tiny singing ladies, no,
they're back.
They're back in this one too.
Because I think the aliens are trying to get them, right?
I think so. I think technically I wrote down. I think technically this is like the first movie that's like canon to like the previous movie, because all the other ones kind of like do their own thing, it seems like. So this one was definitely a sequel, because they even mentioned like that there were two Mothras and only one of them survived. Somehow the other one died. I don't know how the other one died.
Cancer.
And then we also got Rodan in this movie too.
Like he never gets a proper movie like it's Godzilla versus Mothra, Godzilla versus King Ghidorah, or a three-headed monster.
Yeah, he's always sidled with someone else.
He doesn't get like a proper movie with just Godzilla. Even in the new ones. He's Godzilla, Destroy Monsters?
King of the Monsters.
King of the Monsters. Yeah. Where he's in it, and it's fucking awesome too.
Yeah, he emerges from the volcano, which is what he does here too. He comes from the volcano as well, which is really cool.
It's funny how you see so many cues from the old movies getting picked up and put into the new ones too. Like you see where, like watching them now, we get to see where those influences came from. Yeah. And
it was I wrote like the fight was similar with Rodan as always, like Mothra, with a lot of flapping and stuff like that. Yeah. But I think Rodan's a cooler character though than Mothra.
Yeah, and Ghidorah like just shows up with it's a really kind of, if you know like the image of like the Phoenix Force in Marvel Comics, like shows up like that drawn on to the film, like drawn on the film.
Yeah.
And then they had like an image to work with of the film, and they kind of overlaid that drawing to kind of morph it into the live action, where just the flaming like Phoenix kind of looking thing turns into the actual fucking Ghidorah flying around.
Wingspan.
And I gotta say, I always hate when they make him fly, because whoever's in the suit is a guy who doesn't have arms. I must check the heads, right? I'm assuming he's got the heads for each hand.
Yeah.
But then he kicks his legs, which looks really stupid when you're flying. Like it's like you're out of control, right? Like a bird doesn't do that, or like unless it's losing, like it's got hit by something or a strong gust of wind, it might put his leg out to stabilize.
Like when you're swimming.
Yeah. Your legs. And this guy's just kicking all the time. So, but yeah, do they talk in this one? I think this is where they talk.
Oh, I think this is one, yeah, where like Rodan and Mothra like, gets Rodan and Godzilla together to fight, King Ghidorah. And then King Ghidorah is a total boss. Like he
wrecks
lays
everything.
waste to everything. Yeah, he's just doing the lightning breath and just destroying buildings.
I think it's like they call it like gravity beams or whatever these shoots out, but it's definitely lightning breath from the looks of it.
Yeah, exactly. He's a total ass kicker.
Yeah. That's like also the first time they kind of Godzilla works with other monsters. Up until that point, he's mostly like fighting them if there's another one.
And I guess Godzilla resorted to throwing rocks at Rodan for some reason.
I hate when
he had atomic breath. Why is he like throwing rocks at them?
I can't, like, it happens a lot, so I can't say.
Yeah, it does. It happens in multiple movies coming up, I'm sure.
And like, there's lots of times where like one will hit it and they'll hit it back, and then just like a volley.
Yes.
And especially when there's like 3 or more monsters, and then just like hit like 4 or 5 times.
Yeah. We're not supposed to take this serious, are we? Yeah,
definitely.
When that happens.
Like the original Godzilla is like take me serious, and then I think by the third one you're just like don't take this serious. And then but still for adults at that point.
Yeah. No, I was saying that for up to this point, this is the best fight. It was with Godzilla, Rodan, Mothra fighting Ghidorah. So far, this is the best fight that we had seen. And then I also wrote down something about the music sounding a lot like Austin Powers music.
Oh, I do not remember that.
Almost like an homage to like James Bond sort of too. But yeah, that's
and then after that is 1965, Invasion of the Astro Monster. So, if I remember correctly, this is the one where aliens, I think the humans are already going to Mars?
They were already in space for something.
They're already in space.
Yeah.
But the aliens, like, invite them, they trick them into their home. That's what it is. They trick them to the home, and they're like, we actually want to help you. Like, we have, we need your help. That's what it is. We need your help. Ghidorah is like destroying Mars, or
I think I don't know if it was
X.
Mars. If it was like a moon of something.
I think it was maybe a different planet, like Planet X.
Something like that.
But like, Ghidorah is on our planet. We need your fucking help. So they bring Godzilla and Rodan.
Yeah. I think so.
And they're like
Planet X. I wrote down. Naturally.
So, and this is like, I think one of the astronauts is a white guy too, right?
Maybe I didn't know. I think I put that down, but I wrote down. It's kind of strange. Like, they landed on this planet, but naturally, our human, normal people, they had space pistols. That's what you do when you go to a planet. You know you're going to encounter aliens, so you got to bring space pistols.
And like, across the planet, like different areas, they have these fucking like elevators, like platforms that go up and down, like built into the surface. Completely camouflaged, though, for the most part.
And the aliens, the human-looking aliens, are called Zillions.
Yeah.
Xiliens, yeah. And they want Godzilla and Rodan to fight King Ghidorah, and in exchange they'll give Earth the cure to cancer, is what it was.
But then, I don't think that ended up like...
No, they just they did that to lure their monsters from Earth so they could weaken Earth, apparently, or something, so they wouldn't have a defense.
And I think they sent Ghidorah after that.
I think
and maybe Godzilla's... I don't know. There's a lot of aliens coming up in the movie. Hard to remember everything.
And I guess the gravity is lower on Planet X, because I remember Godzilla jumping around a lot.
Is that where he does his dance, where he like jumps up and he kicks his like...
It might have been that one. That was just not Godzilla. That was so comical.
Yeah, like, I feel like...
Yeah, I put jump and dance. Yeah, I had to be the one.
Until this point, maybe the movie before, but around here is where it seems to be kind of skewing more towards a child audience. And it definitely goes deep into that after this point, but... Yeah.
I also put Godzilla and Rodan look like kids when you drop them off at preschool after they get dished on the planet.
Oh, yeah. They're just looking up and like, they're flying away.
I remember that. They were like lost, like, what's happening? What's going on?
So I think there's some they have mind control or something in there too. I can't remember.
It might not have been this one.
Yeah.
They do control the monsters via electromagnetic waves. Yes, there you go. See, you remember better than you thought you did.
That comes up again, so it's not like one.
And then there was a fight where Rodan flies and he carries Godzilla, and they just crashed right into Ghidorah over a cliff. And that's basically how it ended. Was them crashing over a cliff.
And after this, there is a Bira, Horror of the Deep, which is nice, setting back on Earth, getting back to basics, right? Like, no more aliens and stuff.
Yeah.
This is just terrorists that have an island that's protected by a giant lobster.
Yeah. I thought, the lobster, that was kind of uninspired. It was just basically a lobster. All these other creatures are creatures that you've never seen before. This was literally a lobster. That's all it was. And it was a big one, yeah, but it wasn't that inspiring.
I do like the setup, though, like that there's only one way for the humans to get onto the island and off. They have to, like, use a boat with the special spray, which I don't know how they figured that out, because as far as I can tell, the plants that they use to make that spray only come from that island.
Yeah.
I don't know, but yeah. And I like there was, I don't remember how the people got there originally.
If you guys break into a guy's sailboat, then he lets them stay the night. Then you guys sail while they are asleep. Because he was looking for his brother. His brother was missing. Okay.
Yeah, his brother was on the island.
They wind up on an island with a secret military presence.
And isn't there like a native woman that lives on an island too?
I think that was this one, maybe.
Because they wandered. I know they wandered to the cave.
Yeah.
And Godzilla's like in the fucking mountain, like sleeping, like hibernating in there.
Well, Godzilla's sitting and watching this lady, and when he falls asleep. So he's watching some random lady and then just falls asleep for some reason. I don't know why that happened.
Yeah.
And Mothra's in this one too. Who's on the island.
Yeah, they call her. I remember.
Yeah. They
try and help out
to wake her up. Yeah.
They get all the natives. Wouldn't they put all the natives in like a net, and then Mothra picks it up, or
maybe.
But yeah, it's very fucking weird. They basically like use Godzilla to help fight off the terrorists, and I don't think Godzilla ever has any trouble with Ibira. Like when he goes in the water, he's a little bit weaker, I guess. But it's not like Godzilla can drown or anything.
Yeah, exactly. There was also like a giant flying bird too that attacked Godzilla for some reason at one point.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a condor or something like that. What the heck that one was? It didn't really have a name.
Because it was attacking the woman too, and she's like hiding behind a rock, and then Godzilla just fucking destroys it.
I remember Godzilla did like a weird point to his nose sort of thing for some reason. He does these weird human things that make him
more personable.
Yeah. And then I put some strange surfer dance party music starts as jets attack Godzilla. Then he destroys the military base.
Yep.
Mothra wakes up in time to see Godzilla rip off Ibira's claws and then mock him. Then I put Mothra tries warning Godzilla about the bomb on the island by attacking him. So yeah, Mothra's trying to save Godzilla.
Yeah, I think Godzilla jumps off the island too. Or it could be another one.
I think so.
He jumps off a lot of cliffs into the water, and always looks so
that's how a lot of them end. Is them
just
jumping into the water and then the credits roll. That one I didn't remember as much. I mostly just remembered the monster and the lady.
Well, I remember like the yellow spray, because then they're like, oh no, we'll just get the color off these leaves, but we won't actually use the fruit, and then it fucks over the terrorists who try to leave, and Ibira takes them out. Oh, and now
this is one of the best ones.
We're getting the CountryBoy's favorite. I'll let you tee this one up.
Well, I mean, if you thought the one thing that was missing was some family members of Godzilla, this movie's got it in spades.
Is he family?
So it's called Son of Godzilla, the movie. So, I mean, he never technically does it with another Godzilla to have a baby, but there was an egg on this island that a bunch of praying mantises were attacking. So yeah, more monsters that are basically just other animals that exist, like praying mantises on this one. It's a giant spider on this one too. Yeah. And they're attacking this egg, and then Godzilla fights. It was a decent fight, him and the praying mantises. But I even took a picture of one of the actual fight, and you can actually see the edge of the backdrop of the actual sound stage they were using. I sent it to LewisLightning. It's like, oh man, this movie is going off the rails.
Yeah.
They're not. The quality is definitely going downhill.
It's definitely trying to make it for kids. Like that's what Manila, what they call it, Son of Godzilla, is supposed to be there for. And like it's kind of goofy at times. Like he's kind of like a dad. Like he's like, it's almost like a jungle to jungle. He's trying to teach his son something in the forest.
It kind of goes with, because I wrote this down too before I even saw any of that. It's like the music stood out. I was like, it sounded like a 70s sitcom or something, and it plays out like one kind of too. It's just goofy. Like
there's a part where like Manila can't really fight because he can't blow atomic breath. Like he's small and he can't blow atomic breath to defend himself. He just has these rings of smoke.
Yeah.
And then like Godzilla's trying to teach him how to blow atomic breath. And he gets fucking, I don't know, I think he gets pissed off and he just
Steps on his tail.
Steps on his tail. And he's like,
Yeah.
ah! And
Yeah.
that's like the only way it works.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, I put like the dialogue and like the acting is just like very childish, basically like a play almost is what it was. A play, or like I said, like a sitcom.
Because this one also has a native woman.
I think so.
Because she's like, she gives him a little of this, whatever fruit it is, he keeps him like a clearing, and it's massive.
Yeah.
And she feeds it to him, which looks stupid.
Yep.
I think there's even a sound, I'm not sure, but I think there's a sound effect when she like throws it to him. Oh my god.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, put the lady.
Because they were scientists. That's what they were doing, like a weather experiment there.
Yeah, weather experiment that went bad, caused the giant mantises to become even more giant. So they were like just bigger than people. I think before they were still big, but
because it was like so I think they were trying to cool the planet, but also like
like superheated it.
They could superheat it and they could super cool it.
Yeah,
it was just to test the device, but the heating one I think is fucked on it, and that's why the mantises get big because the heat does it, I guess.
Yeah.
And they're already big when they get to the island. Before any of this goes off, the mantises are like human-sized. Like they're not small mantises to begin with.
Oh, you mentioned the lady throwing that fruit. I even wrote down, holy shit, the island girl tosses a coconut at a damn near football field.
Yeah.
The baby Godzilla's mouth. But she's somehow friends with him despite just being born.
Yeah.
What is happening?
And then the giant spider, which actually seems a little bit threatening. Like they talk, you don't find out about it until like over halfway through, maybe even more.
But there was like a legend of him like in his cave.
Kububunga or whatever his name was.
I don't know what his name was.
But he had like poisons and like I think Godzilla got sprayed in the eye at some point because he can't really fight either. But he dies like almost everything else.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I wrote down like, and the way that they got rid of a bunch of the monsters, they created a nuclear winter on the island and froze the monsters that were there. So
I like how the spider curled up too at the end, just
creepy. I like.
But then there is like I think probably a better film to follow this up with, which was Destroy All Monsters, which is like they basically get all the monsters they have, even some that haven't really appeared proper.
They weren't even technically like Godzilla characters. They were just like adjacent to like Godzilla.
So they're owned by Toho, but yeah. So they just like have all these monsters fucking on an island or something, and
was this the first time we actually had like Monster Island?
I think it is. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
Okay.
So they have Monster Island where they send all these monsters to live, but then aliens, I think they gas the people that are controlling it.
Yeah. And
then they take control over the monsters, and they send them across the world to like France and London. I want to say like New York.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the States.
I think New York was one of the places. Oh yeah, I mentioned that because I was like, oh, is this like a prelude to the 1997 or 1998 Godzilla movie? Because I think Godzilla was like raiding New York.
Yeah.
That's yeah.
But yeah, like so there's like Gorosaurus, which I think goes to France, which is like a T-Rex with a bigger head and body. I don't know how to describe it.
I think he technically is he older than Godzilla?
I think
he exists. I think he existed longer than Godzilla. He just didn't have the fan following. I don't think he ever had like a bunch of movies that.
Because I know he is like another Toho creation, but I just don't know. I never watched that. Right?
I could be wrong, but
I
know that there was a movie that like Godzilla kind of copied.
And then there's like Manda, who's like this like a snake-like one. He's got little legs, but they're very. It's like those Chinese dragons, but he only has like 2 sets of legs.
Yeah, that's kind of what I go to, like a big snake dragon like monster.
He like crushes the railway train or a railway line like of a raised track or like a monorail type thing.
Yeah,
which is as cool as see all these fucking creatures and stuff, but
it wasn't very satisfying though the way that they were used. I think like they've used multiple monsters in better fashion and in later movies. This one was okay. It wasn't one of my favorites.
I mean, if you're just looking at this, it's I think more interesting than the last few of them.
Yes, it's better, definitely better than having baby Godzilla.
Yeah, I was watching the supplemental features, whatever, and they show some extra stuff that was taken out, and one of them's like Manda and Godzilla fighting. I think they're in like New York because he's around a skyscraper. This Manda, he's wrapped around it, but it's just like you can tell it's a guy like with a puppet.
Yeah,
and then like. The Godzilla doesn't. I don't think they're lined up. Like he can't really see, so it's kind of like awkwardly like hits him, but it's not like an attack.
Yeah.
And then like Godzilla, like okay, he knows where he is. He just fucking rips this thing down. The building comes with it, but yeah.
And then there was one. They kind of like oh, and there's another monster coming. It's called the King. Sorry, another monster team to beat other monsters team. The monsters team up to beat King Ghidorah. Sorry. Then a new monster I wrote comes flying in to help out King Ghidorah, and it's called the Fire Dragon. But it actually turned out to just be a UFO, which is kind of lame.
Oh yeah.
Like, that was lame.
Okay, yeah, I remember that now.
More aliens.
And then didn't they have like?
I think you saw like the
ships?
Silhouette of it, sort of like it was going to be like a monster.
Yeah, but didn't they have like ships under like a lake or something that they rise out? I think.
Maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah, there's aliens again.
Yeah.
Trying to take out Earth, and they're using the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything more to add.
No, that one. I mean, it was good, but I have a hard time deciphering it from some of the other ones as well.
Yeah, I just don't really want to move on to the next one.
This is the best one.
Oh, Monsters Attack.
Holy shit! This one was a joke. This movie should not exist.
This movie is like 70% a dream.
Is it a dream, or was he maybe telekinetically talking to Baby Manila?
It was a fucking dream. Manila suddenly can change size. First of all, which
I know he like stands next to Manila, and he's like the same size as him, and then all of a sudden Manila walks away, and he's just under like Godzilla's size.
And there's stuff where like this other monster Gabara, who's only named that way because this kid knows a kid who's a bully called Gabara, and like this Gabara monster looks fucking stupid.
Oh, he's got like red hair and like blue skin.
Yeah,
doesn't have a tail.
Awful.
It's a goofy looking monster.
But there's like a part where like he like lures Gabara onto this log, and he's up on a cliff, and he jumps off onto. I'm like, okay, how big is this fucking tree?
Yeah.
How big is this tree? Because Godzilla, even Manila, is like several like 100, like at least 100. Well, maybe not Manila, but they're like. Manila, I would say, is going to be in like.
Remember, Godzilla's 165 feet in the first movie.
If he's 165, Manila's got to be like 100.
Probably close to it, yeah.
So like what tree is he going to be jumping on?
Yeah.
That launches Gabara.
Yeah.
It's just
who's the size of Godzilla essentially.
It's just so stupid.
I the whole movie is this kid who's in the city. I had high hopes. I went into it like, oh, it's actually showing like actual live locations. It's not a set that we're seeing with this kid. And then he has like this old man. I don't know if it was the old man was taking care of him or he was living with him or
like I think it's like he owns a shop in like maybe the lower level, and the kid owns like parents live up in the upper part.
Mm-hmm.
But his dad was a train engineer.
Yeah.
And then his mom. Did she work at like a hospital or something?
I feel like she was a nurse or something. I can't remember. But this kid was always getting picked on by these bullies, and I guess the point of this was for you to stand up for yourself. That's what the point of this movie was.
Bullying stuff is so stupid too. I don't know why they want these fucking what are those called? Those transistor like bulbs or whatever from he finds along on the ground. It's trash. It's fucking trash.
Yeah.
It doesn't play into the story either. It's nothing interesting. And like they talk about like, oh, don't go into this yard because there's nothing there. I mean, it might be a little bit dangerous, but it's just like a hill or something they're playing on. But eventually, these criminals stash some money in this fucking abandoned building. The kid goes out. And
it becomes like Home Alone, kind of, but not good.
Like there's like it's like a multiple story building, and like on the third floor, he puts like a newspaper over this gaping hole in the floor, and the one guy's like an idiot and just fucking walks right through it.
Yeah.
Falls down, like hurts his leg, and it's definitely Home Alone-ish stuff he does.
Yeah. This is before Home Alone, so Home Alone just copied this amazing movie.
Yeah, but in the end, the kid stands up to the bully, which has a really weird fight scene. It's shot weird. You can't really tell what's going on, but he won that fight, and the other kid's like, well, now we like you. And then, they'll do some really bad shit, like, he scares this guy. This guy's painting a sign.
Painting a billboard or something, yeah. And he, revs his engine or something that was, a bike down below him, and it scared him, and he, fell and spilled all the freaking paint. And they're all laughing, and then now he's best buds with these bullies.
He runs away. Yeah, he's best buds. And his dad's like, this is kind of what he wanted, because he's like, oh, he's too much of a lock and key kid. It's like, oh, now he's a total little shit. Like, guess that's better.
Yeah, that's not a really good lesson to learn. Is if you can't beat the bullies, join them. Like, that's a really good story.
But yeah, the whole Godzilla Manila story is a dream as far as I'm concerned.
Even that, with Manila and Godzilla, Godzilla wouldn't do any of the fighting for him when what's his face fucking kept Gabra. Whenever Gabra would come to pick on Manila, Godzilla was like, no, you like push him into him to go like, you deal with it yourself. Yeah. I'm not helping you. Like that's a great dad right there.
He couldn't even really do anything. Like you said, Gabra's the size of Godzilla, and Manila's like a little tiny little shit who can't even fucking blow
exactly
the real
that's
thing.
A smoke ring thing, yeah.
Like, and I think this is the one also has like some reused footage.
Oh, absolutely.
There might have been a little bit before too, but this is the most noticeable.
Because you do see all the other monsters on Monster Island, but it's all old footage that you see.
Yeah,
it's all from the other movies.
So one of the more interesting ones comes next, though. I mean, just interesting conceptually. Like it's got a little bit more of a message to it, and that's Godzilla versus Hedorah. So this one's like about pollution. Like even the intro is like
right away.
It just shows like smog in the air, and the ocean's covered with like filth, dead fish in the sea and stuff, and it's like awful stuff.
Yeah, and even like the lady that's singing that's in the club a little bit later, and she's singing about pollution. It's like, who goes to a club, to like a dance club, and has someone singing about pollution? And
she's wearing the. At first she was like just tattooed, but it's just like a bodysuit she's wearing with all this tattoos like drawn on, like graffiti on her.
Yeah, I liked how this movie didn't like waste any time. Like it showed you Hedorah like right away too. Like, it showed the pollution, and then it showed him like pop his head up out of the water, and kind of creepy with like the red eyes.
Yeah,
it's kind of neat.
He's just like in his smallest form, he's like a tadpole basically. But he like the more pollution there is, like he kind of consumes that, and they merge together and get bigger and bigger and bigger.
Yeah,
and he has like multiple phases, kind of like I don't know, like Dragon Ball.
There's like 3 phases.
So at first he's in the ocean.
Yeah.
And like some divers, even like the kids, I think Dad, or he's like a scientist or something, he gets hit like across the face and stuff. He gets burned, and the kid who has like a knife on the beach, like holds it up and just cuts into this Hedorah.
It slices over his gut.
And he gets a little bit burned too on his arm. But yeah, Hedorah, like whatever he touches just gets burnt by the pollution.
Well, I think there was one scene where guys were like playing poker or something, or maybe it was mahjong or something in a room, and there's like a bunch of pollution from Hedorah like flies in there, like kills them all, like drowns them or burns them, whatever it was, just like floods the room.
Because this one gets a little bit bigger, and he comes on land and he floods like some areas, but then he like goes and sucks on these smokestacks, like he's doing a bong hit.
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome. He wraps around and just like sucking on the thing. And he like evolves into like another stage where he's like flying. He's like the water stage, there's like the walking stage,
the land stage, and
then there's like a flying stage, and that was the one that gave I think Godzilla the most trouble.
Yeah,
was the flying one.
Yeah, so the flying one too is like seems to be the most deadly because he'll just fly over cities and just release this toxic gas, and you'll just see people like they're like, oh, it's a huge monster, run! They're all running in the streets, and then it passes over them, and they just all collapse because of the fumes or whatever. And there's like parts where like the heroes of our story, like I swear they're trying to fight like in a field, and they're kind of with the hippie movement.
Yes.
And the guy's like, oh, it's afraid of fire, let's go and fight it. And they're throwing these torches, and I swear like this one guy is like one of the main characters, like he's in a group of them, and he gets gassed and he just dies, but it's never mentioned. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at the wrong guy because it's just from a far view. But he was wearing a red shirt, I believe. It was kind of noticeable.
I remember this movie was kind of trippier too. Like it had scenes that were animated too. Like it was like there would be singing and then be like animations of like Hedorah, and like I knew it was sometimes would like have like a whole bunch of like boxes of like people's heads and stuff like that, and to the music, which was totally different for Godzilla. This wasn't something that they'd done before.
But the animation is like Sesame Street, like the old school 60s Sesame Street.
I wrote like Schoolhouse Rock is what it reminded me of.
Schoolhouse Rock's even better.
That's what it reminded me of, Schoolhouse Rock.
It's just so weird. And then these orbs, which we don't really see until he fights the big version, he like pulls out these orbs, which I guess is like that's like the heart of Hedorah, and he breaks them. And like Hedorah's also shooting this laser out. Like we don't know exactly what it is or what it does.
Yeah.
But he fucks up with, like he gets one eye fucked up, so he can only use the one.
I think the way that Godzilla like beats him is he like does like dry him out, like he uses his atomic breath. And I wrote that, and like electrocution. Plus like the electrocution, because there was like the power lines and stuff like that.
The humans have this big, I don't know, like a wall of electricity basically. That they had like two big like dishes on either side of this area, this giant field. And when the Hedorah comes in the middle of it, they turn it on and it just like starts drying it out and whatever. But then Godzilla kicks kicks the crap out of it.
And there was one moment where Godzilla, I think this is the first time he ever like flew himself because he uses his breath to like fly backwards.
Yeah.
I was like, it looked comical. I was like, hey, that's an inventive way to use your breath.
He's too
like
stiff.
a jetpack.
Once they start doing it, he's just like stiff. Just
just like.
But also then when he's like fighting or basically Hedorah's beat at that point, but he's worried about like those orbs giving him life again because he's come back at least once.
Yeah.
And he just like reaches into his corpse, starts ripping out all this mud. And throw it, and I'm like, that's cool, but also these people should be freaking out because that stuff is like toxic.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's just throwing it everywhere.
Yeah. Gotta get this done.
So I think I'm getting on to one of your more favorite ones after this.
Yeah, this one might be my favorite actually. After King Kong versus Godzilla, we'll see. I don't know.
1972's Godzilla versus Gigan.
Yeah, I was surprised how much I liked this character, Gigan. Like, and they brought King Ghidorah back as well too, which is more aliens in this one as well too. You got to summon the alien creatures, which is I guess King Ghidorah and Gigan are both from space, I suppose.
Yeah, they're from like a nebula this time though, like a certain nebula. I can't remember what they called it, but yeah, and then like you just see them in space. Like I think Gigan's like an emerald. And Ghidorah's like a red ruby or whatever, and like flying in space. And then when they get to Earth, Ghidorah turns to like the flaming form we see.
I guess I wasn't a huge fan of this part here with like the whole. They're making like a theme park, like the monster theme park is what they were doing. It's called Children's Land, which is like the lamest name I've ever heard. And that was like a front for the aliens to do something. Like they had even like a fake giant Godzilla as like going in an elevator and up to the top and stuff like that.
I think it was a little bit more comical too, because I remember like some of the heroes are these peaceful like, hippie guys. They're basically hippies. Yeah. And one was like a big fat guy, and like he always has this fucking banana. They make a point of this banana being a joke for so many.
But I liked the side characters because they stood out. They were characters that I remember. I remembered them. And I remember that the villains, I think before we even knew that there were aliens involved, I was thinking this is kind of like James Bondy, like James Bond villain. There was like a lot of the coloring, and like how everything was like shiny, it was like new and pristine, very James Bond-esque.
Because they were also like, wasn't there like a toy company or something too, or just the amusement park? I can't quite remember, but I know that the guy was like developing his own monsters, like because he lived with his mom who was overpowering, and it's like Mamara and. So, I can't remember what the other one was. Like one was like his nagging mom, and
I can't remember.
The other one was like schoolwork. I'm pretty sure like kids hated, so they were the monsters.
Oh yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, it was laying things that like kids don't like going to do homework and
it's like the guy you think is the boss is not actually the boss. It's like a younger guy who seems like a genius at first. Then you find out no, these guys actually died a long time ago.
Yeah, that's true. The two of them were like actually like embodiments of like other. The aliens took over their bodies or something.
I think it's implied like these aliens took them out years ago on a mountaintop or something like that.
Yeah, because they went to like I think to go visit where he was from, and then their parents or something.
One of them was the mom, I know, but the other guy just seemed like a priest who kept talking shit about these dead people. I don't know why, because he's like oh he's really good at math, and he's like her son was a fucking moron. He couldn't do math. Jeez, why are you talking like it's like the first year anniversary and they're like talking shit about him.
And this is the first time that we ever see I think Godzilla and Garrus like talking to each other. They have actual like, speech bubbles, which was not necessary. We didn't need to see them talking to each other with speech bubbles.
Yeah.
But I mean, I didn't mind it. I don't know. There's a lot of this movie that are questionable, but I was like, yeah, okay, I don't mind that.
If they had to communicate, do you prefer just pantomime that they would just kind of signal what they're doing as monsters? Would you prefer that they have dubbed voices? Hey, Garrus.
Yeah, not the dubbed voices.
Or do you like speech balloons like what they had? Like,
and it was always like something simple, like let's go get them or something like that. It was never like necessary to even have the speech bubble.
And I think this is the one where the aliens are like giant cockroaches. Was it this one?
Oh, maybe. It might be a different one that had different. Well, this one doesn't say.
Because
I don't have it written down as cockroaches. I know that was one of them.
Because the other one's like hairy apes, but I think that's like the last. They don't really show it in the last one, but the second last one.
It might have been this one. There definitely was one that had alien cockroach things.
But Gigan is a great addition.
Oh man, yeah, he's my favorite of all the monsters now. He was
like big hook hands. Like he's a cyborg. He's an alien cyborg.
His chest, his belly was a saw blade.
Saw blade.
What? That's awesome. He's got like a cyclops eye.
Yeah.
He's got a beak. He's basically like he looks kind of like a penguin, kind of. But he's a badass penguin with a tail and like. And this is the first time you see Godzilla bleed, I think. Like, he, slashes him. Like, I think it was up here somewhere, and it just sprays blood. I was surprised. I was like, whoa, I'm taken aback here. Like, that's the first time anybody's ever made him bleed his own blood.
I gotta say, his flying isn't very good. Like, because he doesn't really have wings. He's got, like, the big frilled back, like, dorsal thing.
And that looked cool, too. Like, he's got, like, the 3 frills in the back. It looked awesome.
But it doesn't help him fly. Like, I think he has a jet or something. Like,
he does have some sort of propulsion, I think.
Yeah.
But, I mean, he does. It's anybody that's flying. It's just stiff when they fly.
The only one is Ghidorah, where the guy just fucking kicks as he flies.
Yeah. Or you can have Mothra doing the whole. That's all they do is fucking flap.
But yeah, then they show that shot several times where he just flies by and he cuts him with his gut as he goes by.
Yeah. So I wrote. I think it was this one. Yeah, this one. I love this part. It reminded me of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2: Secret of the Ooze, when Tokka and Razor are like taking a night on the town and just destroying the street. This is when like King Ghidorah and Gigan first like land on Earth, and they're just laying waste to this city.
Yeah.
It is awesome. They're just having fun. They're just like bashing. They're like doing their atomic breaths. He's using his saw blades. It is just so, and then it goes on for a while.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And then for some reason Anguirus and Godzilla are buddies now. I don't think we've ever seen that until this one. Anguirus is even still alive. I know we saw Anguirus on the island. Yeah, we saw him on the island. So Anguirus is back. And he doesn't really do a whole heck of a lot himself.
Yeah, he gets kind of fucked up.
He does do one cool move, though, finally, where he, like, jumps backwards and uses his spikes on his back. Finally, he uses his spikes for something.
Very rarely comes into play.
Yeah, but yeah, that's the first time I've ever seen, like, Anguirus actually, like, finally do something worthwhile.
Mostly just bites people's ankles.
Pretty much. Yeah, he's the lower guy. And we're back. So talking about King Ghidorah and Gigan fighting Anguirus and Godzilla. One thing that must have been popular at this time was Muhammad Ali or something, because Godzilla all of a sudden had this footwork like Muhammad Ali, and then he just started feeding punches to them. Like, where did this come from? This made no sense. Like, he's not a boxer. Why is he all of a sudden using his fists? He's never used his fists before, and he's never dance fought before. But I'm guessing Muhammad Ali must have been like really big at this time in the 70s.
72, so
most likely, yeah. Rumble in the Jungle or something.
Thrilla Manila. So after that, Godzilla versus Megalon, which some people see as a dud. I don't know. It's not great, I think, but this one, it's like there's like earthquakes. Everyone's like there's earthquakes all over the planet happening, and then I'm trying to remember how Godzilla gets involved.
There was some nuclear testing, I guess, at Monster Island. That's what I wrote down. And then I guess 2 guys with a kid. What does he call him? Okay, no. But was this the one that had the people from Easter Island? Was it this one?
I know those Neptunians. They were the bad guys. They might have had something to do with Easter Island, but I can't remember the specifics.
Oh, this one has Jet Jaguar.
It has Jet Jaguar in it. So Jet Jaguar's like a robot. Like, this kid's got like a friend who's like a scientist that makes Jet Jaguar, and then like they have another friend who's like a race car driver. Yeah. Because there's a lot of driving scenes in this. So
this one has the bad guys are connected to some underground tribe that have something to do with Easter Island. That's what I wrote down. They summon Megalon.
Atlanteans. I think they're Atlanteans there. But yeah, anyways.
And also like a big beetle-looking dude. That's what he was. Sorry, Megalon was the big beetle-looking dude. Yeah, who looked kind of cool. I like the look of Megalon.
Didn't mind him,
he looked kind of cool. And I invited the idea of different people not being aliens, having them being underground. I just kind of wish they didn't have to summon Megalon. I kind of wish Megalon kind of just woke up or something from the nuclear testing. I would have preferred that, I think.
And then Megalon's got like drill hands too, which always seemed weird to me. He puts them together and he jumps into the ground and drills.
Yeah, I remember that. And these guys that created Jet Jaguar. How smart were these guys? Because they made this robot dude that like flew and had like sentient like AI basically. It was really smart, or it became AI. Had its own AI.
Yeah.
And then it grew, which they didn't even know it could do. It like grew to the size of Godzilla, and it could fight.
Fighting too.
Could fight with alongside him. Okay.
And then Gigan shows up too, I think. Like
Gigan's back, baby, and he does more slashing too. He makes Godzilla bleed again. Man, this guy's a badass. I love him.
And I remember there's a memorable scene where like the kid and I think his brother get like trapped in a cargo loading box, and it's like going to be pushed off a dam, which they don't get pushed off, but then Megalon comes and they're afraid he's gonna get damaged. But
Yeah.
the hot rod guy is the fucking hero, really, because he saves them, and he gets in multiple fights.
Oh yeah, and another thing that Megalon does, I guess he shoots like grenades from his mouth and like lightning from his forehead thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't they like knock one of the grenades back into his mouth? Like his.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's one of the things that they did to him.
Another one of those volley things where they fucking just hit things back and forth. Stupid.
Yeah, and so the Easter Island, they contacted the alien people, and that's how we got Gigan back somehow. And then, what was the other guy? Was it just Godzilla fighting the two of them?
Godzilla, Jaguar.
Yeah, fighting the two of them. Yeah,
and Jaguar's kind of useless, but I mean, he helps out a bit.
I mean, was that the first time we'd ever seen like a robot person?
Yes, and
fight. So was that like a prelude to like I guess Power Rangers stuff?
Maybe this is still a long ways.
Was there anything before that? I'm wondering though. Like, was that the first time we'd ever seen something like that?
Could have been Ultraman. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know when Ultraman came about.
I was watching the supplemental and they do reference Ultraman, like, but they kind of say that Godzilla's more popular than Ultraman. It's like, okay, but was that in the same time period? Like, the interviews I'm watching are probably from the 70s or 80s as well. So I don't know.
And this was the first one that I really was like, you know what? Godzilla is like that John Wayne type character now. He just kind of like shows up. He gets the job done. He's like the sheriff of the town, or like he comes in, like helps out the city. People are like, "Oh, thank you, Godzilla," and then like takes off into the sunset afterwards. That's kind of what he reminded me of. That's at least specifically this one, because he literally goes off into the sunset. I think at the end of the movie, I was like, okay, so he's basically John Wayne now.
All right, so then next one we got another robot, Mechagodzilla. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, 1974. So, I mean, at first we just get Godzilla like showing up and he's kind of acting different, a little bit more aggressive than usual. I mean, more recently anyways than he's been. And like, I think it's Angus at first kind of like notices something's up with him and then like attacks, does like a bite on his chest and then shows like a little bit like on his shoulder.
Yeah, like it's like a glint of like some shininess.
And it's got this special metal.
It was space titanium.
Space titanium.
Yes,
not normal.
Space titanium.
And was this the one with the daughter, or is that the next one?
I think this is the one with King Caesar. So it has the daughter, and like that stereotypical like old man with like the long beard.
Yeah, King Caesar's in this.
Yeah.
So King Caesar was like there's a prophecy. That's what it is. There's a big prophecy in this cave they find, where Caesar will return to these chosen people and protect them when this the red moon, or there's two moons and one of them's red or whatever. And so like apparently Mechagodzilla was the big menace.
Yeah.
And it was aliens, right? It was these ape-like
100%
aliens.
Yes, of course it's aliens.
These look like gorillas.
Yeah, these ones we did kind of see what they look like, and they got ugly face. I think I said they're like cheap Planet of the Apes knockoffs is what they look like.
Didn't they have like a hot room that they put them in, or is that the set? I can't remember if it's this or the follow-up.
I don't think I wrote anything about this. It might have been.
Because they captured like some of the humans and they put them in this room to kill them, and it's like just intense heat. They have like lights on them and steam blowing in. Stuff, but remember like the hideout they had was kind of interesting because it was just like all hidden. Like you have to go into a cave and pull this stalactite, and there's a button there.
Yeah,
it's all really weird stuff.
And there was this little statue that was really important too. I think it was King Caesar's statue that they everyone was like fighting for.
King Caesar seems kind of out of place. He's just like, I don't know, a dog-like person thing with red eyes.
Yeah, it reminded me of like those Chinese like lines that they have on like on the sides of like stairways and stuff like that. That's what kind of reminded me of the way he looked.
And his whole power, like he seems to be able to reflect energy beams.
Yeah.
Because like one thing that Mechagodzilla can do, because eventually he just gets all his outer shell like it's ripped off, or he forces it off.
Yeah.
And we get Mechagodzilla, who's got like fucking shoots lasers from his eyes. He's got like finger missiles.
Fingers, yeah.
I think he does other stuff from his chest. He got like all these abilities, and he's super strong.
Yeah.
And freaking like, but when he uses that laser beam on Caesar can like reflect it and shoot it right back. Like, goes in one eye, out the other, kind of thing. Weird.
I kind of wondered too, like if they didn't call this Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla, would people not have wondered why the hell is Godzilla fighting the people? Right. It kind of give it away with the title of the movie. Like there's a fake Godzilla.
But like Caesar is really weird because he also has that song too, where it's like, Caesar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Caesar. And like she sings for like 20 minutes, just sitting there singing.
And in this one, there was a moment where Godzilla is like magnetized or something.
Yeah,
He's like moving things like telekinetically though. He was like moving things that are metal with his mind. I was like, is he fucking Magneto?
Yeah,
What's going on?
I know Mechagodzilla tries to fly away. He like pulls him back.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
What? They don't explain these things.
I'm trying to remember how he charged up. Like, they did show him like charging, but still didn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. There's some cool things in this one, but there's some very questionable things.
Well, Mechagodzilla looks strong. It's a 2-on-1 for the most part.
Yeah, true. Mechagodzilla is a total badass too.
So then the next one is Terror of Mechagodzilla.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the one with the daughter, where the scientist kind of knew about Mechagodzilla and this Titanosaur.
Oh, yes.
And he knew because of like the sound waves and stuff.
Yes.
But his daughter died.
Yeah,
kind of.
I wasn't even sure because it was like a
Resurrected.
flashback when they show it. Because he was like younger, it looked like, and I thought maybe this was his wife, but no, it was his daughter. It was her, and then she died, and then the aliens, as we all know, have to be in this movie. They brought her back to life. You didn't see how they did it. You just kind of saw her like doing surgery or something.
You see later how they do it again.
Yeah, they do it again, and for some reason it's a PG movie, but you saw her boobs.
Well, it's not really.
I mean, I know, yeah, it wasn't like real
thing,
because it was an open chest.
Yeah.
But it's like they didn't need to show the.
And the insides look so
nipples.
bad. There's just like I think there's like even like an elastic or something. There's like a spring and stuff. It's like,
It looked like it could have been run by like a gerbil or something like that inside. That's what it almost looked like.
yeah, but the scientists fixed her and like they eventually like put the controls to Mechagodzilla inside her.
Yeah, she was like connected to Mechagodzilla somehow. And yeah, the only way that they were able to kill Mechagodzilla was her to sacrifice herself.
I think she
shot
comes,
herself.
Doesn't she come back in the end, or like I feel like she survives, or it's
I don't think so.
resurrected?
I think her dad dies. And I think she dies as well too.
Yeah.
I think they both died.
But
spoilers for all that.
And this who comes back? Isn't it? It's Godzilla, Titanosaur, Mechagodzilla, and I thought he had a teammate.
Maybe. Now I can't remember. It's the most recent one that I've watched. I can't even remember. Mechagodzilla, Titanosaurus, Godzilla.
Oh, so the Titanosaur is like fucking up ships, and if everyone comes close to this island where the guy's working with the aliens, because they're rebuilding Mechagodzilla from the
I think it was just Godzilla, and he had to fight both of them because Titanosaurus was being controlled by the dude that put that thing inside of him that controlled him. Yeah. But Titanosaur is supposed to be good.
Yeah. It was kind of like a neutral monster, really. Like
yeah.
But like they mind controlled him, and now he's following whatever he says, and he seems like mostly aquatic, but when he's on land, he's like really jumpy. Mm-hmm. He like jumps around a lot, and
like a kangaroo sort of, yeah.
But his dorsal tail he's still got. He uses to kick up winds.
He's got the tail that kind of splits like this, and then it like shoots like big winds and he blows things away.
But he's all physical. He doesn't seem to have any attacks otherwise.
Yeah, no like lasers or something like that. I think he's all just like physical, like you said. He looked cool. Like, when I saw him under the water, I was like, oh, this is actually a monster I'm not even familiar with. Every other monster I've seen in these movies, I've actually seen. I've never watched those movies, but I've seen the monsters in other media or something. This one, it was new to me. It was fresh. So I was like, oh, I'm glad that I get to see something brand new to myself.
Yeah. This is the one where like the military actually seems to be somewhat effective because they do the mind control thing. Like they break the mind control on Titanosaur, which it takes them out of the game. So them flying around in their helicopters, blasting whatever I think were like supersonic waves or something. Actually, it was effective because
you actually see them like fall back sometimes from the military, and it wasn't from any other monsters. It was like the first time you really see.
It's funny because like the military just does nothing though. Like in any other movie, they do nothing. Yeah. And they always bring out like all these big weapons. Like they even have like these big like laser cannon type things. They don't explain. Yeah. It doesn't matter though because it doesn't do shit until now.
There was one scene I thought was particularly strange when Titanosaurus was fighting Godzilla, and he just kicks him, and he just punts Godzilla like a mile. He just keeps going. Like, how the hell hard does he kick? I've never seen any monster kick him that hard.
They lose some like the physics and stuff. When something's that big, it doesn't quite move that way, you know.
But there was one cool scene. I think you mentioned it to me when we were just talking off, like just by ourselves, where like Godzilla like pops out of the ground. And he looks like a total boss, and he walks towards Mechagodzilla, and Mechagodzilla is just like fucking shooting his whole arsenal at him, and Godzilla just keeps coming at him, That was a total awesome moment for Godzilla.
Well, I can't remember if it was this one or the one before. There was another scene that was really awesome. Where, like, I think it's Mechagodzilla fucking shit up, and it's nighttime, and then you just see like this blast of atomic breath.
Yeah, that one too. Yeah.
And then like it pans, and you see like Godzilla standing in the shadows on the other side of the city.
Yeah.
And then it zooms it, like you get a close-up shot of his face, and you just like see his eyes, and they're just like he's pissed.
That was awesome. Yeah, because he's like. Was it Titanus or was it Mechagodzilla that he hit? I can't remember.
One of them.
Yeah, they were fucking shit up, like you said. Just all of a sudden, blast from out of nowhere just knocks him back.
Just see like way better directing for that, at least that moment.
I agree. I thought that one had way better directing. That's one of the things I think I noted as well. It was a strong note comparatively to all the other ones.
So, after going through all of these, I guess first of all, anything that's kind of generalizations you want to say, because I want to say like the miniatures. They're mostly good. I would say 75% of the time they're pretty good, like buildings and stuff.
Yeah.
The vehicles often look bad because they just move too uniform or too straight. And like, regular vehicles, like a car's moving, one tire hits a bump, it might like, raise and lower. But everything's just flat and moving.
So, sometimes, and they'll splice it with actual vehicles footage as well, so you can tell the difference right away, dude. You can see this actual vehicles like trucks and tanks, and then you see like fake ones, and they're like jaggedy and rigid and not quite the same.
You see a lot of piano wire, like the wire work, especially with like the actors and stuff, and it's just like very noticeable. Like they obviously stopped caring at some point.
Well, oh sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say it gets better back at the end, like the last movie or two goes back to better form, but like a lot of this middle stuff is just really badly done.
I think for this movie, what would have fixed this movie specifically too was Titanosaurus. His head bobbed way too much for me. It reminded me. In Canada, we had this guy named Pokeroo. I think that reminded me of that. That fucking kangaroo thing that was purple or whatever, and the head kind of reminded me of that. If they could have fixed that, had more of a stiff head, it would have been a lot better. Like, honestly, it might have been one of my top favorite movies, but that one, it bugged me. Just him seeing his head going up and down so much.
But as a whole, if you look at
as
the whole thing, how do you feel about like the series? Like, I'll just to give you an idea what I'm kind of getting at. Like, for me, I think if you're a big Godzilla fan, you want to get into it. Like, I want to get into it. Yeah, this collection, not necessarily like just these movies. If you want to get into the first 15, like, yeah, sure, grab this or grab whatever. I think it's good for that. But I think your average person is not gonna like this.
No, not your average person. I think you have to have an appreciation for stuff like this.
Like, I would recommend for maybe an average person that's like, oh, I want to see like the best of Godzilla, or whatever. Like, in this era, go with the original. The original's a classic.
Yeah.
And then maybe Godzilla vs. Kong, because that one's like fun.
Oh yeah, that's like the first like schlocky one, I would say, and it's fun.
Like I said, the ones at the end, like the Mechagodzilla ones, are good too. But I don't know. I think that's, if you get an impression of how Godzilla could be campy and silly, that everything else kind of falls into that. So I feel like the first two you could recommend, but unless you're a Godzilla fan, I would kind of stay away from the rest. I don't know.
I mean, I kind of knew what I was getting into before I started watching these, so I wasn't like shocked by most of them anyways, except for the one with that damn kid and the freaking Home Alone stuff. That one was, I couldn't believe it. After the first Baby Godzilla one, I was like, okay, this is probably the worst one. And then I saw this one had more Baby Godzilla in it, and that damn kid who had dreams and stuff. That was just horrible. That was bad. And then it went back up again from there, which was great, because yeah, it was fun. I have an appreciation for all types of movies, so I have an appreciation for especially practical effects. I love practical effects. Yeah. But this is maybe a little too practical. Nowadays,
outdated.
Yes. Nowadays, I do like when they mix the two. They do the practical with the CG, which would definitely enhance these a lot.
So this goes to 75. It's the most recent movie in the bunch. Yeah. And isn't like Alien 77?
79.
79.
The first one.
So 4 years difference, but I mean, it seems like it's a decade.
Yeah. But that's also like a Hollywood produced. I don't know if this had the same budget as you're gonna get there. But yeah, I really enjoyed them. I don't need to watch all of them over again, but I might watch a few of them. I did enjoy some of them.
And yeah, so speaking of that, we might do another one where we talk about the next era of Godzilla movies. Still to get my hands on them. And I'm a little bit, after watching all these movies, I could take a break for a little bit from Godzilla. I don't know about you.
Like, I can definitely take a break. I like that there is another era that we can kind of get into, because I am looking forward to like Biolante or like Space Godzilla and Destroya. Like, there's a few.
Yeah.
There's some key ones that I know about there that I've never seen. That I would love to see those movies as well too.
But yeah, I think that's going to wrap up this episode. Where can they find you at?
I'm CountryBoy9 with an underscore on Twitch, Twitter, PSN, TikTok, and YouTube. Also as CountryBoy9er, where I unbox things like this Godzilla right here.
And I'm the LewisLightning on YouTube and on Twitch. You can find me there for some, streaming games, or I guess not streaming, but video gameplay videos. So you can check that out. And we will see you on the regular show in a bit.